Hey everyone, it's Aaron here from Console Deals, back again, but this time with a different type of video, one that will enter the weird and mysterious world of speculation. But enough about that, because while a lot of you are currently dipping into the likes of, I don't know, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Rescue Team DX, or Animal Crossing New Horizons at the moment, there's one important question that not many people are asking. What is the next big Nintendo Switch game for 2020?
Of course, there's a good argument to be made that Animal Crossing is potentially all you need. After all, that's a game specifically designed to have people check in on a daily basis and stay heavily indebted to Tom Nook seemingly forever. Shout out to the lady who spent over 3,000 hours in the 3DS version, by the way. I salute you.
Of course, before we get too deep into the things, as I'm sure you would have heard, only earlier this week did Video Games Chronicle publish a report saying that Nintendo had massive plans to celebrate Mario's 35th anniversary this year.
The article read, quote, Nintendo will release several other Mario titles in 2020, including a new installment in the Paper Mario series and a deluxe version of 2013 Super Mario 3D World. Fingers crossed that we get Mario Galaxy sooner rather than later though. Sunshine fans, I don't want to hear it.
Anyways, with all that out of the way, there's still no official word on what first-party Nintendo Switch game will be coming next down the 2020 pipeline. So, with all that said, let's get those speculation gloves on and dive into things.
Let's get some of the big ones out of the way first. Despite already being officially announced, Metroid Prime 4, as much as we'd like it to be, doesn't seem like it will make the 2020 release window. Originally being developed by a still unknown game studio, at the start of 2019 Nintendo announced via a direct style video that the game's development had been officially reset, and would start again this time with the help of the original series developer Retro Studios. This was probably for the best in the long term.
And then there's a case of a little game called Bayonetta 3. Developed by Platinum Games, they've been relatively quiet on the Western front as of late, but they insist that it's still coming. And why shouldn't we believe them? Development is well underway.
As far back as April 2019, Bayonetta 3's existing release date was dropped, with no new one set, indicating that it was still quite far off. In fairness, Platinum have been a busy bunch on the Switch already, releasing the critically acclaimed Astral Chain exclusively on the platform last year. Platinum is a studio with multiple teams however, so the hope is that Bayonetta 3 development has continued strong. The ports of the first two games saw great success, but while a 2020 release is possible, the lack of discussion around Bayonetta's next adventure leads us to believe that this probably isn't the case.
So, with Metroid and Bayonetta now accounted for, that still does leave us with a couple of small Nintendo exclusives still to come early on in the year. Just look at the new Cookie Mama game. But still, one of the most exciting and one you should definitely be considering to come out this year is a little sequel to a little known game called The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild.
While it might seem a tall task to make a follow-up to what many people consider one of the greatest games ever made, especially in just 3 years, speculation has been rampant that Breath of the Wild 2, or whatever it will be called, won't require as long a development time. A major factor in this is in how the sequel very much looks like it builds off the bones of Breath of the Wild's existing engine, similar to how Majora's Mask reused and reformatted certain mechanics and assets from Ocarina of Time. This is certainly what last year's first look trailer, released during E3 2019 by Nintendo, indicated. With that said, we wouldn't be too surprised if Breath of the Wild 2 did come out in 2020, but as Nintendo Switch's big end-of-the-year holiday game.
Still, for as good as the Breath of the Wild sequel looks, that does nothing to help us right now though, in terms of what we can expect to play soon post Animal Crossing, or even during the upcoming summer months. So with that said, it's time to get your speculation caps on, because here are some of our educated guesses, as well as those subtle games that have been heavily rumoured for the past couple months. Time for a speed round.
While the Switch already has a pretty great Donkey Kong game in Tropical Freeze, it's easy to forget that this game was originally a Wii U exclusive. With that said, it wouldn't be too crazy to think that Nintendo has had an outright new one cooking up since Tropical Freeze first released in 2014. 6 years is a good amount of time to deliver any new installment in a pre-existing franchise, but with Retro now working on Metroid Prime 4, as mentioned earlier, if a new Donkey Kong game does release in 2020, it'll likely be from a different team entirely. It was also back during the Wii U era where we got our last entry into the Star Fox series. A beloved staple of the Super Smash Bros. Lineup, Zero was fine as far as pseudo video game remakes go, but one heavily rumoured suggestion that doesn't seem to be going away is that the next Star Fox game will be more racer focused, almost in the style of F-Zero or even Mario Kart itself. Again, it's been suggested that Retro Studios were behind the game's development. Who knows if Star Fox Grand Prix will finally make an appearance in 2020? Anything's possible. And last but not least, out of all these outlandish suggestions, the most probable option is a new installment into the Paper Mario series. Not least because, as mentioned earlier, VGC has all but confirmed it, despite the game still not being officially announced. The last Paper Mario game was none other than Paper Mario Color Splash, again for the Wii U, so the time is certainly right for a new one. VGC's report makes clear that 2020's Paper Mario game won't even be a remake or remaster, but rather a totally new installment. It's exciting.
So there you have it, guys, just some of our educated guesses and frankly outlandish predictions as to what could possibly be that next big Nintendo Switch game for 2020. Obviously we know that we're going to get a boatload of Mario coming up, but I'm very curious to see, that's a bit of a gap to wait between March and June, so there must be something else to fill that space. Fingers crossed anyway. But enough about me. What are some of your picks? What franchises would you like to see come back from the dead? What do you think is going to be next out of the gate? I think it's safe to say we'll be looking at the Breath of the Wild sequel towards the end of this year, as mentioned earlier. But there must be something else to tide us over. Before you go, don't forget to like, share and subscribe this video, and then we'll do more ones like it. In the meantime, if you are left wanting for a great Nintendo Switch game, be sure to head on over to the main Console Deals website where you will find the cheapest price for whatever game it is you're looking for. Until next time, have fun playing!